Why Yijin Jing is not just stretching and why it matters. Why can harder stretching miss the point? In Yijin Jing, the real skill is not simply pulling farther. It is keeping the line alive between opening and releasing. Traditional language calls opening yang and releasing yin yin yang, meaning paired phases of activity and rest. If you reach the biggest stretch and suddenly drop it, the connection breaks. So the practice is less about range, more about a conscious transition. Stretch, soften slightly, then return with care. That begins with how the joints and tendons are opened. The text gives a very concrete first feature. In practice, every joint is opened and the muscles are drawn into a stretch. But this is not passive forcing. It is an active opening through broad, spacious movement, using the body itself to draw the muscles and tendons. In other words, the body is not a rope being yanked from the outside. The movement rises from within. At the fullest point, the instruction is to soften slightly, then release gradually. That tiny pause is the yin-yang handoff. Once you see that, a common mistake becomes visible. People copy the outer shape, but leave breath and attention outside the movement. If opening and releasing depend on an inner transition, then Yijin Jing cannot be just a fitness routine. The text says the first requirement is mental ease and unity of form and intention. Mental ease does not mean thinking of nothing. It means letting the mind move from complicated to simple, looking forward, softening the gaze inward, and bringing attention back into the body. Breath works the same way. You do not deliberately amplify it. You let natural breathing run through the whole practice, woven into the movement. So the mistake is not merely that the pose looks imperfect. It is that the form moves while chi, vital energy, and intention do not arrive with it. Now, the opening question has an answer. Harder stretching can miss Yijin Jing because the goal is not to force the body into a standard shape. The goal is to let the spine, joints, breath, gaze, and intention travel on one connected line. The text calls the spine the body's pillar and notes that many Yijin Jing movements involve bending, extending, rotating, turning, and side bending the spine. At the same time, the practice is gradual and person-centered. Some positions may not be fully reached by everyone, yet the intention should arrive even when the form does not. That is the reversal. Not reaching the deepest shape does not mean you miss the practice. Forcing the deepest shape too suddenly may miss its center. Remember one thing. Yijin Jing is not about yanking into position. It is opening slowly, changing softly, and returning with breath and intention still connected.